Have you ever been signing up for a new website? You type in that perfect username and bam, it instantly tells you if it's available? It really does feel like magic, right? Well, it's not. It's actually a super high-speed journey that happens across the internet in the blink of an eye. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and follow that username step by step on its incredible trip. So this is the big question, isn't it? The page doesn't flicker, there's no loading screen, the answer is just there. It's this seamless, instant experience that makes the modern web feel so, well, modern. And if you understand how this one little thing works, you'll understand so much more about how the internet really functions. So how do they pull it off?
All right, our journey starts right where you are, inside your web browser. In the tech world, we call this the front end. The easiest way to think about it is like the stage of a play. It's everything you can see, everything you can touch and interact with. And on this stage, we have three main actors who make the show happen.
First up, we've got HTML. If a web page were a person, HTML is its skeleton. It provides all the basic bones and structure. You know that little input box where you type your username? That's an HTML element. The sign up button you're about to click? Yep, that's HTML too. It's the absolute foundation of the page. Now, a skeleton on its own is, well, a little bare. It needs some style, right? That is where CSS comes into the picture. CSS is the clothing. It's the designer that decides what color the button should be, what font the text uses, and how everything is arranged on the screen. CSS takes that boring HTML skeleton and makes it look fantastic.
Okay, so we have a skeleton and some cool clothes, but our web page is still just a mannequin. It can't actually do anything. For that, we need JavaScript. Think of JavaScript as the web page's nervous system. It's the code that's always waiting and listening. The moment you start typing, JavaScript springs into action. It grabs that username and becomes the messenger that kicks off this whole amazing journey.
So, just to quickly recap our front-end team, we've got HTML as the skeleton, giving us structure. We have CSS as the clothing, adding all the style, and we have JavaScript, the messenger, which brings the whole thing to life. These three work together to create everything you see and do in your browser.
Okay, so the stage is set. You've typed jsmith123. JavaScript immediately wraps this up into a tiny digital message called a request and sends it flying across the internet. After a super fast trip, this little packet of data arrives at its destination, the web server. This is basically a powerful computer whose entire job is to sit there and listen for these kinds of requests.
And just like that, we've left your browser and arrived at the back end. This is the behind the curtain part of the show. If the front end is the stage, the back end is where all the real machinery, the crew, and the logic live. This is where the actual thinking happens.
So the first thing our little request meets on the back end is what you can think of as the stage manager. This is a server-side language. Now, it could be Python or Node.js, but in our story, we'll use a very common one called PHP. This language runs on the server, not in your browser, and its whole job is to catch that incoming request and figure out what to do with it.
In this case, PHP's job is pretty simple. It acts as a go-between. It takes the username that JavaScript sent, and its only mission right now is to turn around and ask the website's memory banks one single simple question.
And that brings us to the final stop on our back-end tour, the database. This is the website's official, permanent memory. You can think of it as the ultimate source of truth, holding the official list of every single person who has ever signed up.
And that source of truth is often managed by a system like MySQL. I want you to picture MySQL as a hyper-organized librarian. It doesn't just store information in a chaotic pile. It keeps everything in neat, structured tables, kind of like a massive library of usernames that can be searched almost instantly.
And this is pretty much what that librarian's records look like. It's just a simple table, almost like a spreadsheet. You've got columns for the username, the password, the email, and so on. So when PHP asks if a username is already taken, the database just has to quickly scan down this one column to see if there's a match.
So, how does PHP actually ask the database? Well, it uses a special language called SQL, and the question it asks looks almost exactly like this. The cool thing is, even if you don't code, you can probably read it. Select everything from the users table where the username column is equal to the one you chose. It's a very precise, very efficient instruction for our librarian.
So the database instantly finds the answer, a simple yes or no, and passes it back to PHP. And now, that little answer begins its return journey, all the way back to your browser. And this is where we get to the real magic of this whole process.
This right here, this is the secret sauce.
This is the answer to our original mystery. How does it all happen without the page reloading? The answer is a technique called asynchronous communication. It's what lets JavaScript have these quiet little background conversations with the server without ever interrupting you or freezing the page. This is what makes the modern web feel so fast and so responsive.
So let's trace that entire round trip one more time, really fast. You type, and JavaScript sends the request. On the server, PHP catches it and asks the MySQL database. The database replies with a yes or no. PHP sends that answer back across the internet, and JavaScript, which has been waiting patiently the whole time, catches it. This whole loop happens in just milliseconds. It's incredible.
And here it is, the payoff. That simple yes or no lands back in your browser. Our messenger, JavaScript, grabs it. It then immediately changes the HTML to show a message and tells the CSS to maybe color it green for available or red for taken. Mission accomplished, all without you ever seeing a loading screen.
So the next time you see that little check mark appear next to a username, you'll know about the incredible hidden journey that just took place. And remember, this isn't just for usernames. Every like you click, every comment you post, every time Google suggests a search term, it all sparks a similar, silent, lightning-fast conversation between your browser and a server somewhere out there. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What part of the web will you look at differently now, knowing about this complex dance happening just behind the curtain?